right, so I just finished. By the way, I'm Gun Hill Bane, and this is absurd things that has happened in pro wrestling for this week. And the first thing I want to talk about is Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Pat McAfee. So to make a long story short, Pat McAfee comes out, kicks Cody in the balls. Talk about things how he misses the Attitude Era, that he's there for the Attitude fans. The days of Stone Cold, the days of The Rock. Where the WWE was awesome, was great, and despite the success that they have, everything is stale. He even mentioned 5'5" guys wrestling in a 40-minute Iron Man match for 6 weeks straight. Was this happening in the WWE? I've never seen that. I haven't been watching the WWE in such a long time. Were there 5'5" guys doing the same thing every single night? And listen, he even mentioned how boring Raw is, and um, you know what? I guess it's fine. I was gonna make a joke about Pat McAfee and how the WWE as a whole, especially with TKO, is so desperate to get tickets for WrestleMania that they're even mentioning that tickets for WrestleMania are so bad right now because of Cody Rhodes. So basically, you're telling me, so Pat McAfee, if I'm being correct with you here, if I'm being correct with you here, you went on a promo saying that WrestleMania tickets are at an all-time low because of Cody Rhodes, and that Randy Orton is going to be the guy to make the WWE hot again. I just have an epiphany. No wonder why um, Cody Rhodes was a bit upset about that whole entire segment, because whether or not there is some truth to it or not, I don't think they went over the whole promo, in my honest opinion. I think that Pat McAfee was instructed by TKO to come in and just do a work shoot promo. And apparently it's all directed at Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes did not like that, so TKO kind of told him to do a shoot promo back. I don't know what the whole entire situation is going on with, but they are desperate for tickets, and the reason for it is AEW is kicking their asses right now. And a lot of the WWE fans that are listening to this podcast don't want to admit it, but AEW's presence is really pissing them off, and it's pissing the investors off. They have everything given to them. They have the production value, they got the media. Another absurd thing was Little Yachty, or yeah, Little Yachty, whatever the fuck his rap name is, alongside Mr. Lemon Pepper Steppers himself. But that's another segment altogether. The fact of the matter is this: you're raising ticket prices for people who can't afford it in a very bad economy, and you expect these people to travel to Las Vegas, which is a very expensive trip in itself, pay exorbitant amounts of money for hotel accommodations, food, other shows, not to mention you want them to gamble their money away, because there's a lot of heavy gamblers who don't want to go to Las Vegas out of fear that they may be gambling. This whole WrestleMania bullshit has been falling off the rails. If it isn't the old geriatric, fragile Phil Brooks thinking that he's the best in the world against a man who will literally kill you in Roman Reigns, to now this absurdity. I don't get it, and I don't understand why. I think it's absurd. If the people want it, listen. I mean, from an entertainment standpoint, Pat McAfee was very good. A heel Pat McAfee is great, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't think something like this was necessary. I mean, you have all the creative minds in the back. You fired Road Dogg for this? For this? Or Triple H, were you just saving Road Dogg from the potential embarrassment that your company is going to go through off the heels of this bombardment right now? You publicly spoke on live television that tickets for WrestleMania are down the shitter because of Cody Rhodes. That's how I take it. You could take it as kayfabe or whatever the hell it may be, but there's so much truth in that entire debacle right there. And it's because of AEW. And like it or not, what AEW did with Revolution shook him up so much that they decided to pay this man, Matt McAfee, an exorbitant amount of money when before they were at odds with each other because they didn't want to pay Pat McAfee that much money. And Pat McAfee said, well, if you're not going to pay me that much, then I don't want to continue staying. It makes the perfect sense, you know? He doesn't need the WWE, right? He has his podcast. He has a show on ESPN. He's doing great for himself, you know? You needed him. That's saying something. You needed him. And Cody Rhodes was right. I mean, when you're talking about the third member of the NWO, you're speaking about a guy like Hulk Hogan, not Disco Inferno. I don't know why Disco Inferno is taking, you know, he's taking shots, dude. He's taking fades. Disco Inferno was probably like mad sound asleep when that segment happened, and then he woke up this morning and people told him, "Yo, Cody Rhodes talk shit about you." I was like, "What? Like, what did I do? What did I do?" Oh my god, so absurd, so absurd. I mean, guys, do you like this? Is this really how you imagined your WrestleMania to be? I mean, this feels like a clusterfuck of sorts waiting to happen within the next 2 weeks. And then a week before that, we have AEW Dynasty, and I have no idea how that pay per view is going to affect, WrestleMania the following week. This is going to be absolutely interesting. I don't know what to say about this, but this is a very absurd segment. The whole entire show was completely absurd. You tell me what you think, folks, because I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Which which leads me to Chris Jericho. Okay, so listen, I made fun of me. Listen, and we got to go back from one absurdity to another one. Chris Jericho made his return back to AEW. How about that? Nice, right? He did it in Winnipeg, in his hometown. And even though most of the entire crowd were just like happy to see him, as the minutes continue rolling on, people are just looking at Jericho and say, "Yeah, I'm glad you're here, but why the fuck are you here? Like, what do you want? What do you want?" Here's a comparison. Here's a little comparison. Say like you're John Cena, right? You come home to Boston, Massachusetts, and people are just like cheering you. Like you make your return, right? You make your return, and people are just like clapping and cheering for you. And you was about to say something, and they're still cheering you, right? You're trying to say something, and they're still cheering for you. It's like they cannot stop cheering, right? And you just have to take it all in because they're not gonna stop until they're ready to stop. This is the reverse situation when it comes to Chris Jericho. Um, the people loved him. Don't get me wrong; they were happy to see him there. Most of them were shocked that he returned. Some of them were in disbelief. Others was like, "Yeah, we got it here," but it's like it seemed like Chris Jericho was like egging him on. It's like, yeah, keep on cheering, and they're forcing them to cheer him. If that sound, if that sounds something like that, you know. But they were singing his songs, they were doing all this stuff. They loved the fact, and Jericho looked great. I mean, the purple and black. It looked pretty sweet, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. And I don't know who was his personal trainer, but man, he's looking mad fit. If you've seen him when he left, he was like a blow up piece of cajijo, and now it's like now he just looks good. He looks fit. It looks healthy. That's exactly what you expect. So apparently on Dynamite on Wednesday, we'll get more answers as to why Chris Jericho has arrived. But I guess the absurd part of all of this is that, and I even talked about this in one of my videos involving the Royal Rumble. We all kind of thought that Jericho was going to go back to the WWE. I mean, he basically have done everything he could in AEW. There's really nothing much else that he can contribute. And to be perfectly honest with you, the I mean the shows have been running just fine without him. You know, it wasn't really missing Chris Jericho. A lot of people from the AEW side of things were already at peace with Chris Jericho going to the WWE because we kind of get it. He's near the twilight of his career. He probably wants to be immobilized in the WWE Hall of Fame. He has done so much in WCW and in the WWE. He could go back, do his list jokes, all the greatest hits, nostalgia wise. They were expecting him to come out in the Royal Rumble. Hell, they were expecting him to come out, as one of John Cena's final opponents, right? No, and even at some point, they were thinking that he was going to be a surprise guy at WrestleMania, right? Like they were saving him for WrestleMania. But the closer that we went towards the Royal Rumble, and the fact that Chris Jericho's name hasn't been taken off the alumni list for in the AEW roster, that just shows me that maybe there's more to it that we have no idea, and apparently it is. Chris Jericho got more money from Tony Khan. He's allowed to have more freedom, and he doesn't have to be talked down to by the big heads at TKO. So, wins win for everybody. I know that a lot of WWE fans are upset about that and probably talking shit about Jericho right now because he refused to go back to the loyal WWE and remained hardcore AEW. Another big win for us. You know, how big of a win that will be, only time will tell. But it's it seems like as the months keep on going, the popularity of AEW is on the rise right now, whereas the popularity of the WWE, it's still high, but it's dealing with a lot of frustration right now, and that frustration often leads to a decline. And it's made apparent due to the ticket sales of WrestleMania and the ratings. I mean, let's face it. I mean, they're putting their fans in so many chokeholds when it comes to having to financially pay for these tickets. They must really love smelling their own farts. And they're a multi-billion-dollar company. You mean to tell me you can't lower prices for people? You're trying to fill out an 80,000 seat stadium and you expect to find 80,000 rich motherfuckers to sit down and watch your shitty products? Come on. Come on, man. Especially while the other side in AEW, the prices are reasonable. You're with like minded people. You're gonna get wrestling. You're gonna get all sorts of violence, and you're gonna have a great time. And then you're not gonna leave the arena in disgust, wondering why did I spend all this money on. You're gonna leave the arena saying, "Yo, I had a great experience, man. This shit was awesome." I mean, you tell me. You tell me. This is what I'm saying here. When the WWE was a monopoly in itself, they could do no wrong. They could do whatever the hell they want, and you people will buy it and love it because it was the only game in town. Now that they actually have competition in terms of AEW and in terms of all and other forms of wrestling, suddenly they're not the hottest ticket anymore. They're just more of a luxury expense. They're not must see anymore. They're like something that you go to if you're rich. Something you go to, just to look good on the Instagram. Like going to Dubai. It's something like that. It's great to look at, but honestly, it just makes no sense. You're just there just to flex. You're not there to really have a great time and have a memorable experience, unless you're the most hardcore man child WWE fan in existence. You know, yeah, yeah. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. But that's here and there. But anyway, Chris Jericho coming to AEW in a random spot. With no one knows what to think of it. It was pretty much absurd. Now let's go off to another area. Callan Newman. For those who know Callan Newman, and for those who are WWE fans who have no idea what the fuck I am talking about, Newman, the guy holding the big strap right now, is the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Apparently, this is the guy who was supposed to be the successor to Will Ospreay, as you could see, kneeling right next to the champion. Yes. The United Empire's last photo involving Will Ospreay was 2 years ago in that steel cage match against the then Bullet Club War Dogs of David Finlay, Clark Connor, what is it, Gabe Kidd, and a few others, and it was a beautiful bloodbath, and that was the final match of Will Ospreay's career before he head off to AEW full time. Now, I was not paying much attention to New Japan since Wrestle Kingdom. I didn't even bother watching the New Beginning, to be perfectly honest with you. So I kind of took like a month off. So I missed the entire New Japan Cup, which apparently Callan Newman won. And you know what? I was in the impression here that New Japan as a whole is having a problem developing brand new stars to gather more eyes into the product because let's face it, they really underpaid their top stars, and their top stars decided to join to Tony Khan's AEW promotion, the likes of Jay White, Okada, I mean, Will Ospreay, the list goes on and on. So, and it's normal in these type of circumstances. Stars can only remain stars for so long until they have to venture out elsewhere. And they don't have anyone to headline any of this. So, Callan Newman was a guy that before I was not into at all. I just don't see what's the deal with this kid. I don't see what's so great about him. But Will Ospreay like really strongly believed that he was the next successor, and I said, hell no. He looked boring to me. He looked weird. I mean, fast forward to today, he got a brand new haircut, a mean streak. He has a heelish like streak, a brand new theme song, which sounds fantastic. Make way for the Prince. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to like him now. So it's like, and I like this new United Empire, especially with Jake Lee, who is dressed as a clown because he's the silent jester. I like this. I like this. For those who was watching Sakura Genesis, that was the name of New Japan's pay per view. Um, this past what is it? This past Saturday morning. Um, I was expecting they will beat up on Will Ospreay. I was waiting for the potential beatdown of these guys because they take it to a whole new different direction now. I mean, the United Empire has gone fully heel, and yet Will Ospreay is like the only good saint left in that group. So, and I know that Callum Newman are at odds with him, but apparently no beatdown, even more so. During the post celebration, the post match celebration, with Osprey asking for a favor, and that favor is come to Dynamite, help me fight Moxley and the Death Riders. And whether or not he accepts his proposal, I guess we'll find out on Wednesday. But this is also intriguing for those WWE fans who think that AEW does not tell stories. Listen up, your ears. This is a story brewing right now in the month of April, in which will culminate probably sometime around, I don't know when they're gonna do Forbidden Door, July. We'll say July-ish. You know, could we see like a AEW versus New Japan war of sorts? You know, all this frustration building back. Could we see like a war between factions here and there? You know, this could, for brand supremacy. That could be very interesting. That could be something that we may want to take a look at. You know, we don't know. We don't know, but I'm interested in it. Oh, and two other things happened. Well, I can only remember one thing. So, oh yeah, another absurd thing. So there was a guy in a mask who went and attacked Yoda's sushi after the match was over, and he took off the mask, and it turns out to be Gabe Kidd. And then Gabe Kidd was wearing the AEW shirt, and then the crowd booed at him. He stuck his middle fingers at these people and said, "Fuck," like F New Japan. Wow, I don't know where that's going with that one. It was just last year he fought against Okada, and in that match they were making it sound like that he was like the second coming of Tanahashi. He was gonna be the new ace of New Japan. I remember that. You know, Chris Charlton had to get suspended because he was talking bad about AEW so much. And then you have Gabe Kidd basically saying, "Fuck AEW, New Japan is where it's at." Fast forward to this year, damn. Isn't it amazing what a little pile of money and a change of scenery can do to an insane person like Gabe Kidd, who is legit insane? Um, he is legit mentally insane. He even stated in numerous interviews. So yeah, man. So I don't know what's going on with that. Basically, I don't know. That to me is absolutely bizarre. But I'm there for that ride. I would love to see how things go with that one. So that's crazy. That's crazy. So those are the absurd things that has happened in pro wrestling. I just want to say I'm loving the ride right now. Screw CM Punk. I'm not into. I ain't a fan of him. I don't care if he's mad at me, whatever. I don't give a shit. Fragile Phil, he's fragile. So, and yeah, AEW is where it's at right now. I'm happy about that. Vince Russo taking over JCW. I'm starting to watch I'm starting to watch Juggalo Pro Wrestling right now. That's crazy. Vince Russo has made me start to watch Juggalo Pro Wrestling. That's crazy. Um, and that's about it, basically. That's about it for my podcast. So, I like your comments about this whole entire rant I was spitting about, and you let me know what you think about this how's Dynasty going to turn out next week? How's the rest of Mania going to turn out in a couple of weeks? I guess we'll just have to find out and see, right? So until next time, this is Gun Ho Bing. See you. Peace.